Hello, everybody. Okay, you can definitely hear me. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good one. Uh, we're gonna sit on our tushies and watch me do stuff, so I don't have to be alone with dark thoughts, because those are bad. Thanks for babysitting me. I really appreciate it. And it was really last minute, but it was really nice of you to come. I appreciate it. If you're new here, I am Drizzlebyte of the Fluffbyte Entertainment System. We try to bring acceptance and a cozy place for others. We're leftist baby fur, video essayist, horror and indie loving streamer, and we sometimes talk about hard stuff, but we generally try to spread love and understanding. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa, Zoomy. It's a little on the loud side. This is a next door version of my favorite song from the Nier series. And it was mixed by someone very special to me. And I'm thinking about them right now. Ironically, or for the first time, I'm just leading with the stream because I just want to see where it goes. We're gonna go down a fucking Wikipedia rabbit hole. We should also go down a Wikitubia rabbit hole. We could add to my Wikitubia. That could be a thing. I like the idea of that. Might do that a little bit later. It's so weird turning the volume down for y'all and not turning it down for myself because how audio interfaces work, like my audio will stay the same unless I adjust it. So my the what I hear, like when I hear the music, is not at the same volume everyone else hears the music, which is always something to remember. If you're like, dang, this music, the sounds aren't mixed very well. It's like, yeah. Oh, hey kid, how's it going? Good morning. I hope you've been coping okay. Wanted to stop in and say that I love you and think that you're great. I'm gonna lay down, but I wanted to say this stuff before I go to bed because I care about you lots and lots. Heart. Aw, thank you. I love you too, Zumi. Have a good rest. And thanks for being here. Well, since it's like in the news, found guilty. Is there a... Oh shit, it actually goes to the thingy. Holy fuck. Alright, fuck it. This is where Wikipedia rabbit hole is gonna start. State of Minnesota versus Derek Michael Chauvin is a criminal case in the District Court of Minnesota in which former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was tried and convicted of the murder of George Floyd during an arrest on May 25th, 2020. Chauvin was charged with second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. The first charge carries a maximum penalty of 40 years in prison. On April 20th, 2021, the court found Chauvin guilty of all three charges. Trial began on March 8th, 2021. The Hennepin County Government Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was the first of two scheduled criminal trials stemming from Floyd's death. It was also the first criminal trial in Minnesota to be entirely televised, and the first in state court to be broadcast live. That boggles my mind. It's just like there's not been any other big cases, I guess, but even though big cases, like, I don't know, I feel like more court should be televised and not just court that's like divorce court and stuff. Weird take to have right now. Former police officer, fuck yeah. Thank God they found him guilty. I am very happy, and I guess this is a way to acknowledge it in my own way, because I hadn't acknowledged it in anything. Didn't even talk about it on Twitter, so here you go. How are you? Just got my elbow through the system. Such a good night. Oh, nice. Sounds really good. Edibles last a long time, and you get really chill vibes for a long time. I've always found them to make me sleepy, so I tend to avoid them. Sorta. Kinda. I think his last name is pronounced Chauvin. Chauvin? Chauvin. Okay. Thank you, instrument. Hope you're having a good day. Or some dumb shit, but it's not like he deserves the respect of proper pronunciation. Oh, well, we'll continue then. Wow, there's so many contents. Background, murder of George Floyd, arrest charges and bail, pre-trial proceedings trial, judge and attorneys, jury opening statements, persecution case, persecution witnesses and testimonies, body camera and surveillance footage, rebuttal witnesses, defense case, footage of Floyd's previous arrest, witness of defense, closing arguments, verdict and sentencing, reactions, protests and demonstrations, government officials, international, family legal team and supporters, references, external links. Hell. I said Chauvin. State versus Chauvin. Chauvin? Whatever. Court. 4th Judicial District Court of Minnesota. Full case name is State of Minnesota versus Derek Michael Chauvin. Submitted May 29th, 2020. Decided April 20th, 2021. Derek Chauvin found guilty on all charges. Persecution, Matthew Frank. Aaron Eldridge. Jerry Blackwell. Steve Schneider. Defense citations. Oh, defense. Eric Nelson. I love defense is just the one person. I mean, kind of like weird. I mean, people usually only get one defense lawyer anyway, but it's just the thing. It was like, huh, that is interesting. Legislation cited Minnesota statutes. Murder in 2nd degree, unintentional. Murder in a 3rd degree. Manslaughter in a 2nd degree. Court membership. Judge sitting. Peter A. Chihill. Best 420 in a while. Fuck. Kinda yeah. What is this? I am reading the Wikipedia for the case that just got decided a couple of days ago, where the murderer of George Floyd is going to jail. I just wanted to go down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, and it was like on the front page of Wikipedia, so I was kind of like, I should read it. There is a main article, Murder of George Floyd, but I don't want to go directly to that, because if I read that all the way through, I will probably be very emotional. In a teary way. I'm not even sure if I'll be able to get all the way through this, but we'll try. Derek Chauvin was one of 4 officers of the Minneapolis Police Department, MPD, involved in the arrest of George Floyd on May 25, 2020, on suspicion of using a counterfeit $20 bill at a market. He also served in the field as a field training officer for one of the other officers involved. While Floyd was handcuffed and lying face down on the street, Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. For part of the time, 2 officers knelt on Floyd's back. During the final 2 minutes, Floyd was motionless and had no pulse. Several bystanders took videos which were widely circulated and broadcast. 2 autopsies found Floyd's death to be a homicide. At the time of his death, Floyd also had recovered from COVID-19 and suffered from heart disease, and had fentanyl and methamphetamine in his system. I didn't know that he had previously recovered from COVID, because most people who recover from COVID don't regain all their like respiratory function. Like, most people have trouble breathing for the rest of their life, or like maybe not difficulties breathing, but like their respiratory system is more prone to infection now, more sensitive. Not to mention other lasting effects that happen from survivors of COVID. This doesn't mention it, but I believe also reading somewhere that, well, I shouldn't say reading somewhere. I've seen the video. He tells them that he has claustrophobia and anxiety, and they don't listen. Because this is mentioning when he died, but they don't mention them trying to get him into the car and him hyperventilating. I forgot I had seen the video. He had meth in his system? I mean, it's apparently autopsies, but that's also part of, but I believe that could also be part of medicine, right? Depending on what you could be taking. Although I don't think it's that I only consider it contentious. There's a lot of people who unfortunately are addicted to really messed up drugs, and although you hate to see it, I mean, as an addict, even though I don't have such bad or severe I guess drugs of choice, it's like, well, I mean, even if it's like I don't do something so bad, I definitely can't judge. I mean, obviously I'm talking about this separate than like obviously the loss of life and how, you know, no matter what was in the system, he didn't deserve to die or be treated like that. But I do think about it in terms of like, you know, racial profiling and stuff like that, and what kind of life he must have been leading, and like what he was dealing with. Because I do also remember from the video like talking about stuff that happened, because you can see it basically from like when the police first pulled up, almost. Doesn't it mess sticking in your system for a long time? I think. I don't know. How'd my family recover well? Oh, I'm glad that they recovered from COVID okay. I know it's really scary when you have it. A lot of people were saying, well, he was on drugs. Yeah, it was kind of funny though. It was like, it doesn't matter. And it's like, it being in your system doesn't necessarily mean that you're high on the substance. Just like you can be basically sober and still have like a blood alcohol level that's like elevated. I have nothing against anyone who uses drugs. They should all be decriminalized so people can get help when they're ready. I agree. Decriminalization is important. I'm like, well, sometimes people use drugs, but it doesn't justify it to murder someone. Yeah. I would say I'd be like that all the time. I don't think drugs are any reason to murder someone at any time ever, personally. Chauvin was arrested on May 29, 2020, and initially charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter, making him the first white American police officer in Minnesota to be charged in the death of an African-American civilian. On June 3rd, charges were amended to include second-degree murder, specifically unintentional second-degree murder while attempting to commit felony assault. Chauvin was released on conditional bail on October 7, 2020, after posting a bond of $1 million. Court documentation provided that his release was supervised and would be forfeited if he declined to appear before a magistrate. We have magistrates in America? Wait. I'm like, shit, it's like, what is a magistrate? Magistrate. The term magistrate is used in a variety of systems of governments and laws to refer to a civilian officer who administers the law. What? That's such a basic thing. Magistrates, I always thought were like, I don't know, like, okay, I guess I'm showing my baby right now. Like a magical official? A magistrate is not a mage? Exactly. I'm just like, what the fuck? Yeah, I'll leave this one up. This might add to it later to our deep dive. I I was like, I'm looking for the word magistrate. I'll just start over. Chauvin was arrested on May 29, 2020, and initially charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter, making him the first white American police officer in Minnesota to be charged in the death of an African-American civilian. On June 3rd, charges were amended to include second-degree murder, specifically unintentional second-degree murder while attempting to commit felony assault. Chauvin was released on conditional bail on October 7, 2020, after posting a bond of $1 million. Court documentation provided that his release was supervised and would be forfeited if he declined to appear before a magistrate. There it is. Refused to appear in court on scheduled dates. Left the state of Minnesota without court approval, or had contact with Floyd's family. Ooh, I like that last one. They couldn't have known he had it in him. It's a moot point. Oh, I completely agree. Thanks for saying that. A lot of people are gonna be disabled because of COVID, and we keep people on disability at the poverty line, taking away their checks if they get more than like 1,200 or something in their savings. And we practice SIFT eugenics by reducing the amount of a married disabled couple can have under the asinine presumption that two disabled people together somehow need less money to survive. It's one of those things that I feel like is like, how is that even a rule? I mean, there's like so many other things that like affect your qualifications to get things. And I mean, for ourselves, even though we're disabled, we still haven't finished applying disability because it's hard and stressful, and we used to get help with doing stuff like that. But also, you could be waiting for months or years to like get it, and so even though it's good to get it done as early as possible, at the same time it's like, well, I mean, like, I should also concentrate on the things that, like, you know, increase my survivability now, because even if I get the application in, it's gonna be forever before I get the chance to maybe get support. It's like, right? And it's just like, the system is like evil and it's working exactly as intended. I did not think when I started this stream it was gonna be a political stream, but here we are. 2,000 in your bank account is the limit. Oh, really? Okay. Interesting. Doesn't it vary from state to state? Oh, interesting. Interesting point. I only remember from living in California that they had 2,000, I believe. I haven't thought or needed to apply for, or was in a position of not being in imposter syndrome about my disabilities to apply before living in California. As far as I'm aware, federal disability, specifically SSI or SSDI, doesn't have a limit. It's the same in every state. Yep, I applied in November 2019, and I've been denied 4+ times since. Holy fuck nuggets. That is ridiculous. It's like, well, I guess you don't need to live. Oh, I guess you don't need to live. Oh, I guess you don't need to live. Oh, I guess you don't need to live. Just I have heard, and I could be wrong, but the one quote good thing about being denied, especially multiple times, when when/if you finally get approved, apparently they give you more money on your first reimbursement, I guess, based on how long you've been applying, that they haven't been giving it to you because, like, they're like, oh shit, we kind of fucked you over, didn't we? I have not fully confirmed this, but it was what I was told by someone who was giving me advice about applying to disability, who had experience with disability before, but wasn't on it currently. Huh, that makes no sense since the living expenses vary from state to state, but knowing our government, I don't doubt it. Oh yeah, for sure. Like living in California, for example, again, is like way more expensive than living in other places. Although it was kind of funny, it was like, I remember living in LA at one point, and the best place I lived in my life was in LA in a high rise in downtown LA, and our roommates scoffed at us for still going to the 99-cent store for our groceries. And it's like, motherfucker, I can buy strawberries for 99 cents. Like, I can't buy all the best things, but like, I can, like, this is survivable. Where you're going to Whole Foods and paying like $20 for bacon or some shit. It takes so long to get disability. I tried getting it and it took me to get denied my 4th time, and my lawyer, you have a fucking lawyer? Oh my fucking crap. Most people don't have that resource. I'm glad you did have someone to help you like that. My lawyer said he believed it would be impossible since I don't have really huge mental health issues. That said, at my age, they care more about mental health issues rather than physical health. I mean, I think the mental health issues should definitely be getting a lot of weight when they think about that, but physical health issues should be important too. If anything, I'm used to the reverse happening, them prioritizing physical health. Or, I guess, lack thereof. Yeah, they give you more money. Yeah, it should be, but America does the least amount possible. Me and Fluff apparently lived like 20 miles away from each other for a while before we met. Yeah, I lived in LA for like 4 years. For half of it, for half of it I lived in downtown LA. For half of it I lived in East LA. Oh my god, my throat feels like a desert. Ah, fuck. I need a bib. I spilled. Or a fucking, sippy cup. Whew. Alright, this is the thing we're doing, huh? Yeah, that's... Whew. Pre-trial proceedings. On August 29, 2020, Chauvin's attorneys filed a motion to dismiss the case, claiming that Floyd most likely died as a result of drug use and pre-existing medical conditions. On the same day, prosecutors moved to increase potential sentences for the 4 officers beyond the guidelines for all 4 accused, arguing that Floyd was vulnerable while being held down on the ground in handcuffs and was treated cruelly. Fucking right. On November 12, 2020, Judge Cahill initially ruled that Chauvin and the other 3 officers would be tried together. On January 11, 2021, Cahill reversed this ruling such that this case only involves the trial of Chauvin separate from the other officers. On October 22, 2020, Cahill dismissed the 3rd-degree murder charge, but not the 2nd-degree unintentional murder and 2nd-degree manslaughter charges. On March 11, 2021, on appeal, Cahill reinstated the 3rd-degree murder charge against Chauvin. The decision came after Minnesota Supreme Court on March 10th denied the defense petition for review of a Court of Appeals decision requiring Cahill to reconsider reinstalling the charge. On March 19, 2021, after considering the drugs discovered in the SUV where Floyd was detained were confirmed to contain his DNA, Cahill allowed the defense to present limited evidence from Floyd's May 2019 arrest, when he resisted officers and swallowed drugs linked to dangerously high blood pressure. Question mark. Disallowed a forensics psychiatrist. The prosecution wanted to testify that Floyd was acting like a normal scared person during the arrest and dismissed the motion to postpone the trial in light of civil settlement's publicity. Makes sense. I'm just like, yeah, I knew people were saying, oh, but he was on drugs. It's like, oh shit, no. They were like, nah, let's check him. And it's like, it wasn't even fucking relevant. Here's how I may get disability. Hi psychiatrist, I'm depressed. Hi psychologist, please diagnose me. I am not in a state where I can function. Thanks. That's it. I just have to pay my taxes, which is done by the employer. Damn. That's a lot better. America's so fucked up. Yeah. Mental health issues should be important too. Just feels weird that my age plays a role for the disability. Yeah, I mean, I do think to a degree it makes sense for them to assess, like, based on your age, how debilitated you are. I mean, I guess in a more of a geriatric way, because, like, for example, like, a 60-year-old person with ADHD is probably gonna have a different quality of life than a 30-year-old person with ADHD, right? But at the same time, like, I think the amount of calculations that go into, oh, like, how much you should get is, like, really, really weird. Oh, shit. Siamese instrument, thank you for following. Please accept the possibility of happiness and sadness in your future, as we all must in this broken world. Yeah, mental health issues should be important too. Just feels. Oh, wait, I just reread that. Duh. Sorry. My brain skips. If you need a lawyer, make sure to call around to local LGBT shelters. They sometimes have connections to lawyers who only get paid from your back pay, so it's more affordable. Yeah, I should look into that. That's not I'm gonna even go to the doctor because it's like the same place. Which I'm actually like behind on because I really need to get my blood work done. I still need help applying for disability because my SSID is kind of being kept from me by my abusive mom. That or she lost the key to the fire safe. Not sure if my state of quasi captivity is intentional or a product of incompetence. Oof. I mean, I feel like either way is distressing. And I guess it's Schrodinger's confinement, which sounds pretty fucked up. Oh yeah, I got my lawyer to help and he said he would do his best. He said he would do the best he would. Oh yeah, I got my lawyer to help and he said he would help and do his best and he will only charge if we win, which means he would get a good percentage. Fucking poor people's only choice. Yes, get a really big chunk of, like, the thing. Fuck. I hate that. Also, like, sorry it's, like, kind of hard for me to read today. I mean, I guess it's generally hard for me, but, like, I even, like, was looking up, because I was telling people that knew that we're talking about, oh, like, maybe I'm dyslexic. I was like, hey, let's look at the thingies together and let's see what you... It wasn't, like, as constructive as that. It was like, hey, like, if you have dyslexia, like, don't, like, gaslight yourself into thinking you don't. Because someone asked me, oh, like, are there different forms of dyslexia? Because the stuff that, like, I'm suffering from seems different than what you just described. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's just one part of it. And it's, like, this huge, giant list. It's, like... if I would guess, it was like 18 different things. It was broken up into like different stages in life of how it affects you. But I feel like it's It's more like the things that are apparent and your lack of functioning at those different stages. Because like stuff that has to do with school specifically is in the school age stuff, but the adult stuff doesn't have to do with necessarily like college, but more like employership and shit. So it's just like, sus. And breaking it up like that specifically, I felt like. But other than that, I was like, oh shit. And I was looking up and I was like, oh, this probably is contributing to why it's so hard for me to make essays, especially when I'm stressed, because I'm already working with like weights on my brain. And so it's just like, I'm kind of accepting how hard it is for me to do things, but also being like, yeah, I'm still gonna do the things. I love to read, and I want to read more. So yeah, I'm doing this thingy. Beats paying rent though, I guess. I mean, things that help you not be on the street, I feel like are good, or at least better than the alternative. I mean, I pay rent, but it could be worse. But I also hate the idea of like it could be worse. And it's just like sometimes I think it's just the little bit of good stuff that you get sometimes when things are shit. And I want to appreciate them. And it's not so much as like, you gotta appreciate them. How dare you not be grateful? But just more like, I have this little bit of happiness right here, and I definitely want to appreciate it, even though there's a lot of bad stuff around, I guess. He had method in him, and he was on anesthetic. He probably didn't have the strength to do shit. Oh yeah, that's fair too. Diminish. Oh, sorry. I need to re-put in that command. I put in new bots and I couldn't copy paste the command, so I had to put them all in by hand. So, or manually, I should say. So it's not all the same things are there now. So like none of my like promoting other folks' stuff tags are in there yet. Sorry about that. Judge and attorneys. Hennepin County Judge Peter Chahill is presiding over the case. Chahill has been a judge since 2007 and previously worked as a public defender and prosecutor. On May 31st, 2020, Governor Tim Walz pronounced that Attorney General Keith Edison would lead the prosecution instead of County Attorney Michael O. Freeman. Freeman was the subject of protests and was later disqualified from working on the case. The prosecution team also includes Matthew Frank, Jerry Blackwell, Steve Schneider, Steven Schneider, and Aaron Eldridge. Chauvin is represented by defense attorney Eric Nelson. I'm gonna drink more water because I'm realizing I'm talking a lot, so I should probably be drinking more water. I feel like my voice sounds different than usual, and I think it's probably because I've been smoking too much. I've been really stressed, to be honest. Oh yeah, and my sinuses are just like killing me. I have such thick mucus, it's the worst. My mucus is thicker than my pants. Gosh. Jury. On December 22nd, 2020, prospective jurors in Hennepin County were mailed a questionnaire asking about their views on the criminal justice system, the police, and social movements. The questionnaire also asked prospective jurors to disclose how many times they viewed videos of Floyd's death and whether they participated in the George Floyd protests. Oh yeah, because that'll bias you so much in a bad direction. On March 8, 2021, jury selection was delayed until at least March 9th, pending consideration of the third-degree murder charge against Chauvin. Jury selection began on that day, with the third-degree murder issue still unresolved by the Court of Appeals. During jury selection, prospective jurors were questioned about their views on Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, and defunding the police. Holy shit! They were for real like, hey, What do you think about these things? I think it's so fucking blatantly ironic, cause I just think about, like, I don't know. I've been thinking about a lot about absurdism lately because of a certain few people, and it's just like, and just my own self, because I'm a, oh wow, I'm atheist, but philosophically, I'm an absurdist, I think, or at least an approximation of it. I need to do more reading for myself, but like from what I can understand, yeah, life has no meaning. I try to make my own and laugh in the face of the bullshit, or at least giggle a bit. And it's just like, it is so funny. I can imagine it like fucking, like a, like a dry humor, kind of like, I don't know, The Office, or what was it like? Was it like nine husbands at a funeral or whatever? And it's just the like the people like asking the questions to like screen the jurors, being like, oh shit, we gotta make sure they're not gonna be like too biased. We have to like make it even, and you know, just make sure that we don't get too many people that are like this and da 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 da. And then you just get like, oh, people on both sides of like, oh no, like this, and it's like, oh no, that, and it's like, oh no, this one supports Blue Lives Matter, and people are arguing, and then they just have the one person who ends up being the swing person at the end, and it's just like, oh wait, what did they believe? We never showed what their thingy was. And it was just like, hey, do you believe we should defund the police? And I was like, what's that? And then it explained defunding the police. And I was like, oh shit, maybe we should defund the police. And just like, they actually like educate the people before the trial. And it's just like, oh shit, now I'm more informed. Yeah, I think that we actually should defund the police, and you know, this is a bad thing. I just find the concept fucking hilarious. Jurors were also questioned about Minneapolis' $27 million settlement with Floyd's family, with two seated jurors executed. Excused. They were excused. With two seated jurors excused after news of the settlement changed their ability to be impartial. Humans aren't impartial. I guess I'm splitting hairs. Some potential jurors express fear of retribution. Holy fuck. Some jurors express fear of retribution if they were to return an unpopular verdict. 12 anonymous jurors and 3 alternatives were seated on March 23rd, while 6 white, 4 black, and 2 multiracial jurors selected. On the third day of trial, a juror had a stress-related reaction, but declined medical attention. Sounds like a panic attack. Maybe. Maybe a meltdown. It sounds stressful. I wouldn't have wanted to be one. That's for damn sure. Can't reform a system that is inherently bad. Yeah. Tear it down at the roots. Does impartial mean in part biased? Is it like inflammable? Huh. Does it? I mean, I'm not really sure. Impartiality. Impartiality, also called even-handedness or fair-mindedness, is a principle of justice holding that decisions should be based on objective criteria rather than rather on the basis of bias, prejudice, or preferring the benefit of one person over another for improper reasons. Gosh, there's a little bit of subjectivity in when you would be like, oh yeah, this person is impartial, because you'd literally be saying if they do prefer the benefit of one person over the other, it is proper. Because just like, well, you don't think the thing for the right reasons is like, I feel like a way to worm out of or worm into being considered impartial by a specific kind of framework. Now I'm thinking of that Dreg video. Gosh, would it be cursed to watch Dreg on stream? I'll think about that later when we're done. Humans know humans know for their objective perception. Oh shit. Coming in with these hot takes. Yes, no bias, head empty, the ideal juror. Oh god, you're making me laugh so much I'm gonna pee. Which is a good thing. Opening statements. Opening statements from the prosecution and defense were heard on March 29, 2021. Prosecutor Jerry Blackwell started opening statements saying that Mr. Chauvin Mr. Chauvin. Oh, right. It's just the article hadn't at any point called him that, so it was just like, wait, what? Mr. Chauvin betrayed his oh gosh. They went very much into the idealistic territory because it's like, cops are the new knights. They're so honorable. Cops known for their nobility and not beating their spouses and long-term partners. While defense attorney Eric Nelson said that Chauvin did exactly what he had been trained to do. Which is also not wrong, because cop training is inherently like predisposes them to a mindset of must protect, must kill everything that moves. Gosh. Empty head, ooh woo. And just like knights, most of them are bandits. Canceled knights. Oh. Persecution case. The persecution began its case on March 29th, 2021 and rested on March 13th after 11 days of testimony from 38 witnesses. Persecution witnesses and testimonies. About 400 people were included on a list of prospective trial witnesses, but only 38 were called on to testify. The persecution's witnesses were Jenna Scurry, a 1991 dispatcher who received the call about Floyd using a counterfeit bill. She viewed Floyd's arrest via live video and was concerned about the manner of his arrest, leading her to call a police sergeant about the arrest. Ashia Euler, a bystander who filmed Floyd's death. Donald Williams II, a bystander and professional MMA fighter. Okay, random. Who testified to Chauvin's... Oh, shit! That's some Phoenix Wright shit. They got an MMA fighter to testify. Oh, God. That's so unreal. But also totally makes sense. It's like, well, I mean, who would be an expert on this? Holy fucking shit. I'm actually kind of blown away by that. It would be nice to trust cops, but cops are humans, and we have unconscious bias and conscious bias. I mean, it'd be nice, but cops, the coppery is foundationally been based on prejudice and organized violence against minorities and people who aren't wasps or more waspy. So much I could potentially unpack there. Okay. Trying again. Donald Williams II, a bystander professional MMA fighter who testified that Chauvin's kneeling on Floyd's neck was applying a blood choke to Chauvin that was shimmying to actually get the final choke in on Floyd, that the arrest procedure was torture, and that he called 911 on Chauvin because he believed he had witnessed a murder. Blood choke. Blood chokes or carotid restraints / sleeper holds are a form of strangulation that compress one or both carotid arteries and or the jugular veins without compressing the airway, hence causing cerebral eschema, a temporary hypoxic condition in the brain. What the Oh God! Hypoxic is a condition in which the body or a region of the body is deprived of adequate oxygen supply in the tissue level. Hypoxic may be classified as either generalized, affecting the whole body, or local, affecting a region of the body, although hypoxia is often a pathological condition. That was, distressing to see. The more you know. But, oh shit, I just realized, sorry, to drive the point home, that happened to his fucking brain. That's so fucked up and cruel. A well-applied blood choke may lead to unconsciousness in 10 to 20 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You're out. Injury or death is plausible if the arteries remain constricted for more than 20 seconds, compared to strangulation with the hands. Properly applied blood chokes require little physical strength. You don't need that much that pressure. But he had his whole body weight on him. I have hypoxia in part of my toes. Whoa. It must suck to like walk then, or maybe is it hard to like have good balance? I feel like that probably comes with so many complications. That's why I love jury duty, ooh woo. All the thinking, illogical thinking you have to do. Gosh. Yeah, I'm smiley face. Upside down smiley face. It's the best you can get in that situation. But frowny face, yeah. Fuck. And it's like, I'm learning so much at the same time, especially because I was staying away from a lot of like the case and the information and stuff like that. Because especially as a black person, it was terrifying. I had a fucking panic attack after I watched the tape. It's a really hard thing to see, and people are dying still. It's such slow progress. It's an inch in this fucking archaic system made to hurt so many people. Four underage witnesses who witnessed Floyd's death testified off camera. One of the witnesses took the widely circulated video of Floyd's killing and said that Floyd was terrified, scared, begging for his life, and saying, "I can't breathe," while Chauvin just stared at us with this cold look. Genevieve Hansen, a bystander EMT certified firefighter of the Minneapolis Fire Department, who witnessed Floyd's condition and wanted to treat him but was not allowed. Hansen said she saw that Floyd had an altered state of consciousness because he was not responding to the painful stimuli of Chauvin's knee on his neck. She wanted to check Floyd for consciousness, start chest compressions, as well as render other medical attention, but was denied access to Floyd by the police. Christopher Martin, an employee of Cup Foods who allegedly received the counterfeit bill from Floyd. Martin said it would appear that Floyd was high, but that he was able to talk and communicate. He seemed to be able to talk just fine to me before the knee was on his fucking back. Christopher Belfry, a bystander parked behind Floyd's SUV who began recording a video after seeing Officer Lane pointed a gun at Floyd. Charles McMillan, a bystander who had a conversation with Floyd when Floyd was in the police car. Lieutenant Jeff Rugel, head of the MPD's business technology unit, who was familiar with police body camera footage. Huh. Courtney Ross, Floyd's girlfriend, who had testified that Floyd struggled with opioid addiction after using opioids to treat his back pain. But that he had once been hospitalized for an overdose. And that she was in the car with a supplier at the time of his arrest. She cried while describing her relationship with Floyd. He was addicted to opioids because of fucking pain. Which is funny because it's like, well, fucked up system, and you know, like the constriction of getting access to meds because certain meds because they are habit forming, which was funny because they didn't care when it was happening to people of color. They only cared when it started affecting white people en masse, because they just throw people of color in jail, but white people get to go to rehab, but they were still struggling and dying of overdoses. When I was in outpatient rehab in LA, most of the people that I was in a program with were, if not white, fairly well to do. They could afford to be there. They could afford to take off work. We had to be there every day. I had to, and it's funny because it is legally recognized. Addiction is legally recognized as disability. You can't get it. You can't get disability for it. But if you're seeking treatment, you literally get a doctor's note. I got a doctor's note from work indefinitely until I finished treatment, which I wasn't able to do because I became homeless because my roommates kicked me out for not being able to pay rent, which they said was okay because I was supposed to, because they wanted me to get help. But it was taking too long to get help because they thought it'd be over a weekend or something. Whoa. Didn't think this would make me talk about my own history in such a way. But it's just so fucked up that the having drugs in the system, the people have thought of it like the fucking in the reverse way. In a way, it's like, oh, he was on drugs so he was dangerous, and it's like he was on drugs because he's fucked over by a system that predisposed him to be on drugs to treat the thing, especially because after a certain point you have to find a way to keep going. And if you're like a working class person, back pain is something you have to fucking deal with because you need to do stuff. You need to get work. And even if you are on disability, you still need to live and do stuff. And it's not like no people on disability have a job. And some people have to be on disability and have a job and make sure they don't make too much. And you hate to see it. Fuck. No, it's just on the knuckles. I don't feel them and they are purple. Oh gosh. I couldn't watch it. It gave me way too high anxiety. I completely respect that. No one needs to watch it. No one's obligated to watch it. And I know that there's probably some people out there that's like, oh, like if you're white, you should watch it because of like what people did or whatnot. But I mean, I don't think anyone is obligated to see someone die. After I listened to the Jamestown mass suicide, I'm not watching anyone suffer. It's too traumatic. Mood. Who would have thought that the person taking heavy anesthetics did it because pain? Irony. We must laugh so we do not cry. But I'm Drizzle, so I do them at the same time. Where are we? Lieutenant Jeff Rugal head of the MPD's business technology unit, who was familiar with the police body camera footage. Courtney Ross, Floyd's girlfriend, who testified that Floyd struggled with opioid addiction after using opioids to treat back pain, that he had once been hospitalized for an overdose, and that he was in the car with a supplier at the time of his arrest. She cried while describing her relationship with Floyd. Seth Bravender and Derek Smith, Hennepin paramedics who responded to Floyd's death, and testified that they saw no signs of breathing or movement by Floyd when they arrived. They detected no heartbeat once they were allowed access to Floyd, and that they failed to resuscitate Floyd. Smith said that when they arrived, he believed Floyd was already dead. Captain Jeremy Norton of the MFD, who responded to the scene and reported what happened to his supervisors. Norton said that he was worried that a man had been killed in police custody. I actually don't know what RET stands for. Retired, I'm pretty sure. Retired Sergeant David Plugger, a police supervisor. Scurry called him to report her concern about the arrest. Plugger advertised at the scene after Floyd was taken away in an ambulance. Plugger testified that the arresting officers could have ended their restraint of Floyd once he stopped resisting them while handcuffed on the ground. Sergeant John Edwards of the MPD, who testified that he responded to the crime scene, told Lane and Krung to turn off their body cameras and attempted to interview witnesses. Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman, an MPD homicide investigator and its most senior officer. Zimmerman testified that Chauvin's kneeling on Floyd's neck for an extended period of time was totally unnecessary, and that such a move can kill. Zimmerman further testified that once suspects were handcuffed, the threat level goes down all the way, and the police need to get them out of the prone position as soon as possible because it restricts their breathing. Branford Wakade, Langfield, the emergency medicine resident physician at Hennepin County Medical Center, at Hennepin County Medical Center, who pronounced Floyd dead. He testified that for any person whose heart had stopped, like Floyd, the chance of survival decreases by 10 to 15% every minute that carpulmonary resuscitation, CPR, is not administered. I did not know that's what CPR stood for. The more you know. Madrina Rondo, chief of the MPD, Arando testified that Chauvin violated department policy, training, and ethics by continuing to restrain Floyd in that manner at various stages. When Floyd had ceased resisting, was no longer responsive, and was motionless, alongside citing the sanctity of life and the duty of care. Arando added that Chauvin had violated department policy by not de-escalating the situation when possible, and by not providing immediate medical attention to Floyd. Inspector Katie Blackwell, who was the commander of the MPD training division at the time of Floyd's death. Blackwell testified that MPD policy was to train officers to use their arms to carry out a neck restraint on a suspect, instead of using officer's knee like Chauvin did. She also testified that during the entirety of Chauvin's tenure with the department, MPD officers were taught about positional aphasia. Positional aphasia is known as postural aphasia, is a form of aphasia which occurs when one's position prevents them from breathing adequately. Positional aphasia also may be a result of the policing technique known as prone restraint, used by police, corrections, military, and healthcare staff. And hence instructed to move suspects into their sides as soon as possible. Onto their sides as soon as possible, once they were under control. Not my favorite wording. Sergeant Curry Yang, an MPD crisis trainer who explained that listening is key to crisis prevention and that officers shall de-escalate when it is safe and feasible. It was definitely safe and feasible. Also, I need to mention here because it just hit me. It kind of sucks that, and I know this from working in retail, that like when they teach you about bills and stuff, it's like money gets circulated, right? Just like how like sometimes people like stamp money to like kind of like graffiti it or something, or sometimes someone will write something on a bill. Like I've known a friend who wrote something like on a bill, like a picture of a dick or something, like literally, and like one day they got the dollar bill with the same fucking dick on it. I was like, oh shit, my dollar came back to me. Things circulate, so just because someone has a counterfeit bill doesn't mean they made it. In fact, it's statistically unlikely that they made it. And so, ironically, if someone has it, they aren't really, most of the time, they don't even know they have it. Because the average person doesn't check every bill that they get to see if it's counterfeit. Because the easiest way is to shine in the light and see the watermark. Even though some newer bills, especially the big bills, it's actually funny. There's like part of what I miss about working at a movie theater that was like really popular was just like it's a weird stem to work with money, but also I guess because I'm autistic, I really like shiny things, and so like because rich yuppies, like most of the big bills we got were always the hundreds with like the holographic strip on it. So it's just like, ooh, I got shiny hollow dollars. Sorry, I am child. I lost my place for a second. And so it's also funny that like, you know, it's not actually funny at all. It's actually incredibly apt for the system to be like, okay, this person is a counterfeit bill. All right, cops. Because technically that's what you're supposed to do. But like when I was a worker, and like that was something we had to go through the procedure, like they like called security and they explained it to them. And you generally got to walk away. They never arrested anyone. They were like, sorry, this bill is forfeit. You're not getting it back, and we're not giving you any reimbursement because it's not a real dollar. And sometimes, especially when it was busy, we wouldn't even fucking do that. When it was busy, we'd have the manager come to explain because it would be a thing of authority. Because a lot of people get angry because like, are you accusing me of da 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 da? And also remember that a lot of people, especially if you work retail, maybe you've experienced this, will go, oh, I made this. When you check bills, a lot of people make the offhand joke of, oh, like I made it this morning, and it's like, imagine someone doing that, and then it's like, oh shit, this bill is counterfeit. Oh, this is about to be a real awkward moment. And it's just like, yeah, people in different neighborhoods and different income brackets of different colors get treated differently. Huh. Go fucking figure. If hearing about this is too much for anyone right now, please take care of yourself and do something else for a while. Practice self-care. It doesn't make you a bad person to not be able to sit through this. Getting burnt out for witnessing tragedy after tragedy doesn't help you or anyone. So please take care of yourself. Thank you, Instrument. I need to remember that too in case I get overwhelmed. It's okay to stop. I wanted to finish though, if I can. Or at least see if I can get a little bit farther. This is an interesting experience. And really weird. I've never really done anything like this on stream before. It's self-harm to watch traumatizing videos unless you know you feel comfortable with watching it. Well, I think that there's a gradient, honestly, because, like, certain things are never gonna make you feel good, right? there's no way I would ever be okay with watching that tape, even before I saw it. But I wanted to. I wanted to bear witness, especially because they're, like the body cam footage, delay and everything, and just lack of justice, and just also feeling powerless. That at the very least I could witness it because, well, fuck. Because of my disability and with my lack of flesh-based resources, I basically have no friends in flesh-based. Like I can't, like, if I wanted to do like direct action, I can't. We do content creation and stuff to survive, and surviving is nice, but we also want to contribute to something, and like we are, a leftist, so it's just kind of like, it also sucks that the like fatigue of the thing and all the stuff is like compounded by the fact that black bodies are like so criminalized and discarded, and like that's my body too, and it's just like wow. And the thing is, like, there are a lot of white content creators who do talk about stuff like this on a regular basis, and I literally can't. And so when I do, so on the odd occasion that I do cover stuff like this, I want to do what I can, because I also feel pretty powerless. And like, there's so much not justice being served that at least it's not just the, oh shit, bad thing, bearing witness to bad thing. At least with this, as opposed to the video, it's kind of like knowing what happened and how it was decided this person was in fact guilty. This thing that we all should have known. But still, just like, the fact that this even happened hopefully sets a precedent, but also was just like, holy shit. And I mean, if you've seen the video of the verdict, I saw it on Twitter myself, you can see Chauvin's eyes darting around, scared and confused. Like, there's no way this could happen. I was supposed to get away with this. And it's just like, what the fudgies? And it's like, it's pretty obvious why he thought that. It's as obvious as the people who tried to storm the Capitol, when they were surprised. I remember seeing someone be like, oh, I got maced, it's so bad. And it's like, why'd you get maced? It's like, it's revolution. It's like, this is, wow. Oh no, they have wee dories where you can track where this dollar bill was used at last time. Oh, that sounds really cool. Oh, websites. That sounds really cool, though. I gotta check that out. And this dollar bill came from all the way from New York. I saw the Christchurch shooting. Holy fuck. Were you... I would say you... What? There's no way you could be... There's no way you could be okay, right? But, I mean, obviously, like, I'm not okay. But I have the spoons. I have the drive, I guess. Neopets. Oh gosh, just reading the word Neopets. Whew. Lord, my blood pressure. Neopets still exists if you need a palate cleanser after reading about this case. Neopets. Morning, Driz. What's happening? We're reading the Wikipedia article about the Chauvin ruling. Because history has been made. Also, I don't want to be alone right now, so y'all are babysitting me. Sorry. But hey, my stream is basically a baby monitor anyway. Whew. Lieutenant Johnny Mercel, the state's expert on MPD use of force policy and training, testified that officers were trained to use the least amount of force to get control of a suspect and to de-escalate their restraint once the suspect is under control. He also said kneeling on Floyd's neck violated police policy, ethics, and training. It was almost like he's doing what he fucking wanted. Officer Nicole McKenzie, medical support coordinator in the state's MPD, is the state's MPD expert on medical issues. Defense attorney Nelson questioned her about agonal breathing, which she explained as ineffective irregular gasps for air. It is a distinctive abnormal pattern of breathing and a brainstem reflex. So if you run out of air, it's gonna happen no matter what, probably. It's a brainstem reflex characterized by gasping, labored breathing accompanied by strange vocalizations, and Macorius. Possible causes include cerebral ischemia, external hypoxia, the thing that we were just talking about, and even something. Actually, I don't need to read any more about the details of how that's like. This is like literally like the what does this mean? What does this mean? Is literally the equivalent of like in an anime, like in Attack on Titan, you're on the load screen and it's like, hey, here's all the lore to this man's death. Like, holy shit. It's like cross references on cross references, but it's like if you bring out all the experts, it makes fucking sense. In the face of overwhelming evidence, at least he was fucking found guilty. What she explained is ineffective irregular gas for air. Nelson questioned as to whether it can be confused with effective breathing during certain circumstances when there's a lot of noise or a lot of commotion. She replied in the affirmative, but under further questioning by the prosecution when asked if a hostile crowd could excuse an officer from giving emergency medical aid, McKenzie replied, yes, but only if an officer was being physically assaulted. She also testified that even if a person can speak, it does not suggest that they are breathing adequately. Oh yeah, I forget how to breathe all the time and end up like running out of breath mid-sentence and then gasping for air because I didn't realize that I stopped breathing adequately, I guess. Like even just being excited and talking for a long time and not watching where you're breathing can lead to oh shit moment, and it's only for a fucking second. Ask any question? Shoot. Do you play any Pokemon card game? They also have shiny holographic cards. No, I'm more of a Yu-Gi-Oh bab. Though I don't really play Yu-Gi-Oh right now, although I'm trying to get into Duel Links. I am a big connoisseur of Magic, though I'm kind of wibbly-wobbly with it. Also, I don't play Commander. I'll get into Commander for my friends, but only if they play kind of modern with me. What else? I had Pokemon cards growing up, but I didn't know how to play because no one I knew for a while knew how to play either, so no one could teach me. I didn't have access to the internet. I was already like pretty far into Yu-Gi-Oh and was like, well, I chose my poison, which I guess happened later on too with Magic the Gathering, because when I switched it was like I can't afford Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering, so I didn't. Wow, I do need a lot of water, which is okay. Damn, this is gonna be a lot of pee. Neopets has been slowly becoming more mobile friendly over time too. So needless to say, I done went and got myself addicted to it. Oh wee! I've never actually gotten to Neopets. I kind of really want a Digimon, but it sounds really fun. Although there are other, like, I guess, Neopets adjacent games that I'm really interested in. Specifically Toontown, I think would be really cool. I think Toontown is like Neopets adjacent. I mean, as much as like something like MapleStory would be, even though, yeah, different games. Sergeant Jody Steiger. Sergeant Jody Steiger of the Los Angeles Police Department, a national expert on use of force by police. Steiger testified that the videos show Chauvin not changing the force he applied to Floyd's neck area during the restraint. According to Steiger, no force was responsible in that position. No force was reasonable in that position, where Floyd was prone and handcuffed. In that position, Floyd was not attempting to resist, not attempting to assault officers, kick, punch. Opt Steiger. The pressure exerted by Chauvin's body weight in that position may cause positional athlesia and could cause death, said Steiger. Steiger testified that Chauvin executed a pain compliance technique on Floyd's wrist and knuckles. Pain compliance is the use of painful stimulus to control or direct an organism. The stimulus can be manual, use tools, or as a whip or electroshock weapon, or use chemicals such as tear gas or pepper spray. Oh, yeah. I mean, weird, slight tangent. Police use pain compliance, but so do parents that believe in corporal punishment. And I don't necessarily mean spanking. Like, if someone like grabs your ear to pull you somewhere, that's pain compliance, isn't it? You're giving pain and directing you're giving a painful stimulus in order to control what someone does. Just like if you were to like put someone's hand behind their back painfully and like be like, hey, walk or whatever, like authority. Chauvin executed a pain compliance technique on Floyd's wrists and knuckles, even though Floyd was prone, not resisting, and apparently unable to comply. This technique was applied for an excessive period of time, although Steiger said that a name-calling crowd could be viewed as a potential threat. Steiger also testified that for the bystanders to Floyd's arrest, I did not perceive them as being a threat. As most of their oh gosh, this might be real weird. As most of their verbal remarks were due to concern for Floyd, while Steiger agreed with defense attorney Nelson's assertion that police were trained to place a knee between the shoulder blades of suspects. Steiger disagreed with Nelson's assertion that Chauvin had placed his knee on Floyd's shoulder blades rather than above them. I mean, it's really obvious in the video, and you also have like dozens of bystanders, so yeah, you're not warming out of that one. And you didn't. Special Agent James Ryerson. It's not Ryerson, it's Ryerson. This is not Breaking Bad. Special Agent James Ryerson of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is a statewide criminal investigation bureau under the Minnesota Department of Public Safety that provides expert forensic science and criminal investigation services throughout the state. Gotcha. Testified that he interviewed Minneapolis Chief Arandanes during the investigation into Floyd's death. Mackenzie Anderson, a BCA forensic scientist who processed Floyd's SUV and the officer's squad car and tested eight stains positive for Floyd's DNA, including 7 blood stains. God. Berea Giles, a BCA chemical forensic scientist who testified the pills found inside Floyd's SUV contained fentanyl and methamphetamine. Susan Knight, a forensic chemist who testified that 3 pills found inside the SUV and squad car contained a fentanyl concentration of less than 1% and a methamphetamine concentration of 1.9 to 2.9, whereas the majority of time Knight uses 90 to 100% methamphetamine. Martin J. Tobin, pulmonologist, critical care specialist, psychologist, and recognized expert in respiratory failure. Wow, that's like really fucking specific. That's like the most specific. That's wow. Who said lack of oxygen to the brain and heart led to Floyd's death. Oops. Shit. I was like they definitely pulled out all the stops, but it's just like, no shit, Sherlock. Tobin testified that Floyd died of low levels of oxygen caused by asphyxiation that resulted in brain damage and cardiac arrest, and that he did not die of a fentanyl overdose. Oh, that's what they were trying to. Oh, okay, I see why this is necessary now. It's like, wait, why was? Oh, because that was your way out. No. A lot of people overdose, die of asphyxiation in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes from their throat closing up. Sometimes from choking on their own vomit. Daniel Ishimid, a forensic toxicologist who testified that the ratio of fentanyl to norfentanyl in Floyd's blood was 1.9 milligrams below the average of 9.05 in postmortem cases of 3.2 in DUI cases, adding that overdose victims rarely have norfentanyl in their blood. He also testified that Floyd's level of methamphetamine was in the bottom 5.9% of a sample of DUI methamphetamine cases. Wow. So y'all did stream after all. Yeah, like 6 hours after you asked us. Oh, this stream will tickle your fancy because, of course, because I'm being hella. This is literally the most aggressively leftist I have ever been on stream, because I am reading the Chauvin case on Wikipedia till I get through all of it, so I get through a part that feels like I have some amount of, maybe not emotional closure, but like in the story of it, it wraps it up. Because even going through all the like testifying, like I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's just how my brain organizes information. I don't mean it in a comical way in any sort of way, but my brain is literally thinking of Phoenix Wright and like all the fucking testimonies that they had to do, and like how this would have, because of how long this case was, if this was like an Ace Attorney game, which would be really weird if it was, and I guess you could put part of it into the Ace Attorney simulator, and I wish my brain didn't think of that because it feels weird, but also am nerd still disgusted by the fact that this case even had to happen. Just that it would take up a whole game because of all the cross-examinations and all the different ways they had to look at it. And it's like, shit. But yeah. Stuff. I'm showing off my new shoes. Crocs. Ooh, what color? Ace Attorney, but Chauvin and Google translated. Gosh. Bill Smock, a legal forensic medicine specialist, surgeon, and former emergency room doctor who testified that Floyd died from a lack of oxygen and not a fentanyl overdose. Lindsay Thomas, a forensic pathologist, she testified that there was no evidence that indicated that Floyd would have died that night except for the interactions with law enforcement. Thomas said that the many videos of Floyd's arrest did not show signs of a death from a fentanyl overdose, as those deaths typically feature a person becoming very sleepy and then peacefully stops breathing. The video did not show Floyd experiencing a sudden death as from a heart attack. Yeah, Kira didn't write his name in the death note either, if they were gonna try that fucking thing. Gosh. Andrew Baker, the chief Hennepin County medical examiner who performed the official autopsy on Floyd's body. He testified that he stood by his autopsy finding that Floyd's death was a homicide caused by a holy shit, I'm such a baby, I can't read that fucking word. Cardiopulmonary. Maybe I'm not so bad at reading. Just gotta try hard. Nah, I just got lucky. Cardiopulmonary arrest complicating law enforcement's subdual restraint and neck compression. He said Floyd's heart disease, fentanyl intoxication, and methamphetamine use were contributing causes, but not direct causes because they did not cause subdual or the neck restraint. Fuck. It's like stating the obvious again and fucking again. And it's like, yeah, it probably didn't help, but like, the fucking drugs didn't put a knee on his neck. I'm not apologizing for my anger, but I'm just not used to being this angry on stream and it lasting this long because obviously, you know, I'm still reading it. It's just like, this is a weird place for me emotionally. Thanks for being here with me. I really appreciate the not being alone. Because I think about this sometimes and part of the reason I want to read it as much as I do is because when I saw the tape and like I heard about like what he had said or what he said in terms of like, oh shit, I'm claustrophobic. Oh shit, please don't put me in there. I'm having a panic attack. On top of the other stuff I knew, like about the drug use, and like even now, it's all compounded by, oh shit, you know, his drug use was coping with fucked up circumstances, and it's just like, it's fucked up to fucking think that this article could easily be about my death. More so than I would already think so because I am a black person in America. It's just like, I too have mental health shit. I too struggle with some of these same things. And like, I have so many differences. There's so many differences between me and him, and it's just like, it's terrifying. And it's part of the reason I'm terrified to leave my house. I haven't left outside outside my front gate in like 3 months. And that's compounded by other things, but also I'm scared to die. Andrew Baker, Chief Hennepin County Medical Examiner, performed the official autopsy on Floyd's body. He testified that he stood by his autopsy finding that Floyd's death was a homicide caused by cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual. That's the word, subdual. Restraining and neck compression. He said Floyd's heart disease, fentanyl intoxication, and methamphetamine use were contributing causes, but not direct causes because they did not cause the subdual or the neck restraint. He said that he did not believe the neck compression he saw in the videos, which left no signs of injury, could have restricted air or blood flow to Floyd's brain, but that it contributed to psychological stress, increased adrenaline, and elevated blood pressure. Jonathan Rich, a medical expert in cardiology, testified that despite seeing coronary artery blockage in Floyd's heart, the heart is able to create new paths for blood to circulate, and he saw nothing to suggest that a cardiac arrest event played a role in his death. He also testified that he saw no evidence to suggest that a drug overdose caused Floyd's death. Philoise Floyd. It was like, wow, I really don't know how to pronounce it. Philoise Floyd, younger brother of George Floyd, who recalled the close relationship between his brother and his mother. The final witness, Seth Surgeon. Staughorn? Stoughton? The final witness. Seth Stoughton, a law professor and former police officer, spoke as a use of force expert. Using the reasonable officer standard, he testified that Chauvin's level of force was disproportionate to the circumstances. No responsible officer would have believed that this was an appropriate, acceptable, or reasonable use of force. Just want to remind you that even though, like, they're like, oh, he broke all the rules and stuff, people who didn't technically break rules also got away with murder and still continue to do so. And just the fact that he was going well beyond the standards of reasonable force or reasonable actions in this case, in the arrest, was just like, cops are already, I guess I'd say it's like they're already dangerous, and he did what was above and beyond even a cop. He was a super cop. I've been the lowest I've been in like a year last night, but hey, I'll take Angry Melon. Aw, you must have been feeding off my energy, because yesterday was the anniversary of one of the worst days of my life. The anniversary of one of the other worst days of my life is tomorrow, and I have been very upset. I got black all-terrain cracks. Whoa, that sounds really cool. I'll just imagine like a mountain biking commercial, but for cracks. Drizzle's tail releases dopamine in the brain. These are only true facts. You speak no lies. Body camera and surveillance footage. Oh shit. It's an hour and 5 minutes? I'm not clicking on it, but know that if for some reason you feel the need or compulsion to watch it, the Wikipedia has it. And I do have to applaud the fact that it's there, because the internet is a resource, and just, I guess, sidebar, it should be free for everyone, actually. I believe the internet is a human right, and being able to read about this case with ease of access, regardless of pandemic status, is something that people should be allowed to do. I don't exactly want to say physical libraries are obsolete altogether, but they don't provide as much support and access to information. The internet, to me, is the crowning achievement of humanity. Just personally. These Crocs are fire. Hot fire. Haha, yeah. We're soul linked now. Hope you don't mind turning into a baby. Gosh, this VOD is gonna be so fucking blurst. It's just like, I refuse to be stone-faced. I will continue to make jokes in video game metaphors as I see fit. I see nothing wrong with that. I don't think that I am making less of the situation. I am coping in my own way. Plus, who wants to hear me read body cam footage of the 4 officers involved was entered into evidence? Yeah, I'm feeling how I'm feeling. I don't think anyone here has any problem with that, but it's just like weird to think. It's really weird to think about. What's depressing is that in 50 years, kids will be born, grow up, and most won't know anything about this. Though they may rarely hear that there were protests around this time. God, it makes us feel like the Walking Dead, like we're ghosts all fucking ready. Living in history. On the off chance that someone is watching this VOD 50 years from now. Hi. Did the world get better? Are we still hurting people? And are our leaders still the worst? I want to know. Body camera footage from the 4 officers involved was entered into evidence and was shown at trial. Shortly after Floyd was taken away in an ambulance, Chauvin's body camera shows his responding to a bystander who took issue with his kneeling on Floyd's neck. Chauvin responded to the bystander saying, "That's one person's opinion. We had to control this guy because he was a sizable guy. It looks like he's probably on something." Prosecutors also showed surveillance footage of Floyd at Cup Foods shortly before his death. Rebuttal witnesses. Water again. People remember the civil rights movement, though. Yeah, but think about all the colored death, like, just since Floyd's death. Think about access to the internet and the ability to even have access to that information, even if you're not specifically aware of it in the moment. And think about how news circulated in the civil rights movement. The protests that we know about, the famous ones, and the stuff people tell us about through documentaries, is not even a fraction of all the work that happened. And probably all the people that were hurt and died. Shit, the amount of footage that we have for that sort of stuff is a gift if you think about it. That was preserved, not destroyed by the fuck... Excuse me, I'm drinking water. Gosh. I didn't even think that was gonna be such an important stream. Fucking crap, nuggets. You know that civil rights happened, which was literally the biggest moment of human rights in history. In the history of humanity. It was just last century. The only other event comparable to the impact it had was the fucking Civil War. The Civil fucking War. Gosh, words switch around for me so much. Prosecutors also showed surveillance footage of Floyd at Cup Foods shortly before his death. Rebuttal witnesses. In the rebuttal of the defense's case on April 15th, the prosecution called on Martin Tobin to testify again. Tobin, an expert in respiratory failure, disagreed. Tobin, an expert in respiratory failure, disagreed with defense witness Fowler's contention that carbon monoxide from the squad car may have played a role in Floyd's death. That's a reach, but I guess explore all possibilities. Fucking crap. They took him out of the car because he was hyperventilating, having a panic attack, and they were like, he's being violent, like he didn't want to get in. And it's like, well, I mean, it's so interesting that it's like, the fact that he should have been put in the ambulance when it got to that point that they couldn't put him in the squad car, that should have been the moment. That's what happened. I mean, maybe they shouldn't have arrested him. Or maybe the cops shouldn't have got called to arrest someone for a 20 counterfeit bill when it doesn't happen in other parts of the world where richer people reside. But hey, it's not a perfect world, right? It's like, yeah, they got a fucking they got experts of all kinds, and it's just like, I'd be surprised if they didn't say a fucking blade of grass 20 miles away was a factor that they needed to explore. It's just... Tobin testified that the autopsy results show Floyd's blood had an oxygen saturation of 98%, meaning all there was for anything else was 2%, and humans normally have a blood level of 0 to 3% carbon monoxide at any given time. Defense case. The defense began in case of The defense began its case on April 13th, 2021, and rested on April 15th after 2 days of testimony from 7 witnesses. The New York Times responded that while trial judge Cahal tried to strictly limit Floyd's past acts and states of mind, saying that they were not relevant to the case, defense attorney Nelson was allowed to open Chauvin's defense with a video of a May 2019 arrest of Floyd's related to previous drug use, suggesting that it showed a pattern of behavior in which Mr. Floyd responded to the police by panicking, implying that he faked his response. I'll say just now, as a person of color in America, you are literally taught generally that you will not see justice and that you should be scared. You should do, I mean, shit, I had parents, one of them was a cop. I was raised to comply with police officers to the utmost of my ability. And even so, and even without an anxiety condition, even for a neurotypical person, I would imagine that just being talked to by a cop is like stressful, even when the cops aren't being called on you, and especially when they don't tell you, because even in the case of someone who like in the rich yuppie neighborhood that used to work, when people were called, when I had to call out like, oh wow, we have like a fake bill, we had like a code we would say into the walkie-talkie so that the guest wouldn't know, and we had to say like there was something wrong and we had to wait for our manager, and then they would be told. So by the same token, he didn't know that the cops were coming for him until they were there, and it's just like, surprise. It's just like, fuck. Of course he was fucking terrified. Nelson had previously said in court, Floyd's response goes to the very nature of this case and why public perception is what it is. The thing that he is saying is, I can't breathe. I'm claustrophobic. Calling out for his mama. Witnesses for the defense. Chauvin decided not to testify in his own defense, exercising his Fifth Amendment right, because he didn't want to put his fucking foot in his mouth. The defense's witnesses were Scott Cretin, a retired MPD officer who testified about a May 2019 traffic stop of Floyd, during which he pointed his gun at Floyd because Floyd was unresponsive to commands to show his hands, adding that Floyd's behavior was very nervous, anxious during the previous incident. Anxiety. Fuck. Michelle Mosang, a retired Hennepin EMS paramedic who assisted Floyd after his May 2019 arrest, and testified that Floyd's high blood pressure, risk of stroke, and use of Percocets? Oxycodone / Pemental, sold under the brand name Percocet. It's the word Percocet. All these medical terms are like just, gosh, it looks like hieroglyphs for 2 seconds. So many X's. I know Percocet doesn't have X's in it, but just bear with me. Percocets, among others, is a combination of the opioid oxycodone with Pemental, used to treat moderate to severe short-term pain. Neat. Gosh. I feel like the first time I ever heard the word Percocet was literally Eminem's being like, yeah, I'm popping Percocet, I'm a nervous wreck. I deserve respect. Which is actually in his song Rock Bottom, which is like, hey, about poverty. Shawada Hill, a passenger of Floyd's SUV who testified that Floyd was asleep after leaving Cup Foods, woke up briefly after Cup Foods employees approached, and woke up again after she tried to rouse him and told him the police is here. Peter Chang, a Minneapolis Park police officer who responded to the scene and testified that bystanders were very aggressive towards the officers. Nicole McKenzie, a MPD medical support coordinator who was also called as a prosecution witness and had questioned about MPD training on the topic of excited delirium. Excited delirium, ESD, also known as agitated delirium, is an alleged syndrome used to explain deaths in police custody. It is described as a combination of psychomotor agitation, delirium, and sweating. It may include attempts of violence, unexpected strength, and very high body temperature. Good to know. Barry Broad, a former police officer and expert on self-defense, defended Chauvin's actions. Broad said that Chauvin was acting with objective reasonableness, and was justified when he put Floyd's handcuffs in a prone position. He said that the action did not qualify as force because no pain was inflicted, which would conflict with the whole he did a pain he used pain to force an action. Pain fuck, I forgot the word already. Pain correlation response, I think. MPD training on the I skipped lines. I went back up. He said that the action did not qualify as force because no pain was inflicted and that Chauvin was following Minneapolis Police Department policy and current standards of law enforcement. So he was literally lying at his ass? Because, I'm pretty sure more than one person said that he was not following protocol. David Fowler, a retired forensic pathologist, said that the manner of Floyd's death should be classified as undetermined rather than homicide. He testified, in my opinion, Mr. Floyd had a sudden cardiac arrhythmia due to his atherosclerotic and hypertensive heart disease during his restraint and subdual by the police. Excuse me, pardon me, sorry. Just a little gassy. In his determination, both the drugs fentanyl and methamphetamine contributed to Floyd's death, and exposure to vehicle exhaust could have potentially contributed by causing increased carbon monoxide in his bloodstream or even carbon monoxide poisoning. Fowler's evidence in Floyd's trial was reminiscent of the cause of death given in the case of 19-year-old college student Anton Black, a black teenager who died in 2018 after being restrained and pinned to the ground by 3 white police officers. I'm sensing a pattern. A medical report Fowler signed said the teenager's death was because of his heart issues, and it was an accident. Fowler is facing a lawsuit by the family, which accuses him of concealing evidence and protecting the officers. Oh boy, tea spilled. The ACLU accused Fowler of creating false narratives about what kills black people in police encounters. Far be it for me to agree with the NAACP, but I agree with the NAACP, yes. Let me get back to chat. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, the entire trial was a reach. To paraphrase my dad, it's dumb that the trial was even news since it should have been so open and shut. Like, no shit, murderers go to jail. I got pulled over once and my heart sank like a motherfucker. It's scary. I mean, I think that, like, there's an, of course, like, there are some people who go like, oh, like, things like police brutality and things that affect poor people in general are a, uh, uh, gosh, my brain, are a, not a race issue, but rather a, like, poverty, issue. Like, income inequality issue. And it's like, it can be both. And, like, by the same token, even though people try to erase the, like, compounding of the things and just, like, the interaction of, or just the intersection of systematic oppression, there's also just, I mean, a lot of people are not fit for society's mold for people. Colored bodies aren't the only ones that face lots of persecution. Trans bodies, disabled bodies, lots and lots. And I mean, cops generally have been shown to have power trips in general. So even someone who is, say, like, all the things the like, the majority values, like, yeah, you're still in danger. Does being on phone make you a baby? Oh wait, I skipped, sorry. Oh, I have my powers, even on my phone. I am baby, but I have power. Does being on phone make you baby? I mean, it can. If it's like a Fisher-Price phone. Barry Broad? Who was this comic book motherfucker? It does sound like that. Hey, babies have phones now. Oh yeah, people... the joke of like, oh yeah, people give iPhones to 3-year-olds or something. Although I have seen like toy, like I said, like Fisher-Price those, like Fisher-Price iPhones. Yeah, Fisher-Price like iPhones, like not real phones, but like toy phones. Like, hey, you get an iPhone. It's like, yeah, and then like a couple of years they'll graduate. For a while, my local cops wouldn't leave me alone. I think they thought I was a drug dealer or something. That's so weird, because that's one of the only things that have not been typecasted by the cops as being. Probably because I was so eccentric. One of my friends said that I was so unassuming to cops because I dressed very gay and because I dress like a child. And I play my Game Boy and walk around oblivious to the world sometimes. And it's just like... How could cops kill such a pretty face? And it's like, easily. But to my credit, I have always put a lot of my stat bonuses into persuasion. I don't think it would be at all a reach to say Drizzle is maybe more than one thing, but I'm definitely a bard, even if it's just a bard subclass. Oh wait, I already read that. Space aliens has possessed this man. Wait, what? I don't understand the context. Maybe the superpower thing, or not superhero. Aliens. Maybe it's the aliens. Wait, no, you said aliens. Comic books. Maybe it's the comic books thing. Gosh, my wires got crossed. Closing arguments. Holy shit. Closing arguments were made on April 19th, 2021, after Cahal announced on April 15th that the evidence is now complete for this case. For the prosecution, Schneider opened his statement saying his name was George Perry Floyd Jr., adding later that Chauvin's killing of Floyd wasn't policing. This was murder. For the defense, Nelson said the responsible police officer would understand the situation, arguing that Floyd was able to overcome the efforts of 3 police officers while handcuffed. For the state's rebuttal, Blackwell said that reasonable is not reasonable. Oh gosh, that's such a fucking judge thing to say. That's the most judge fucking thing is. Sorry, words. Reasonable is as reasonable does. Asking jurors to believe your eyes prior to closing arguments. Cahal read the jury instructions. Holy fuck. Jury instructions, directions to the jury, or judge's charge, are legal rules that jurors should follow when deciding a case. They're a type of jury control procedure to support a fair trial. Verdict and sentencing. Jury deliberation began on April 9, 2021, following closing arguments. On April 20th, the jury announced that it had received a verdict after 10 hours of deliberation. Chauvin was found guilty on all 3 counts. His bail was revoked, and he was remanded from custody. He was remanded. Okay, he was remanded into custody by the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, which transferred Chauvin to the Minnesota Department of Corrections. Chauvin was then booked into the Oak Park Heights State Prison. Chauvin faces a maximum of 40 years in prison, but Minnesota sentencing guidelines suggest a sentence of 12.5 years? That's kind of low for murder. The state has indicated that it will request a longer sentence than the guidelines recommended due to aggravating factors. Aggravation in law is any circumstance attending the commission of crimes or tort which increases its guilt or economy or adds to its injurious consequences, but which is above and beyond the essential constituents of the crime of tort itself. Fun fact, I don't remember a lot of like the definitions, but I am. So you know how like Matt Murdock's dad was a boxer, so even though the fighting style that Daredevil uses is not boxing, it kind of like he was around it so much that there was a little osmosis there, and he probably gave him a little bit of lessons to defend himself at some point. In a weird similar way, one of my parents was a lawyer, and I commonly had to look over legal documents because I was supposed to be a lawyer one day, and even if it wasn't, it was like, you black, you should probably learn to read legal documents so they don't fuck you over if they ever try to do something to you. And it's like, good call. Weird thing to add, and I know it's like really, really weird context, but like I just weird life I've had. I was raised by a black Sarah Connor kin, except instead of you will be the leader who will help us fight against racial machines or free the human race, it was you will be the next great civil rights leader and free black people from oppression. Oh wow, I didn't even think about it like that. I just realized I was groomed to be a civil rights leader. Fucking weird. Ugh. Fluff stretchies. Yes, please. Stretchies. Oh, whoa. Wow. Wowzers. Okay. Feeling good. Well, not good, I feel terrible. I feel stretched. Thank you, Fluffy Greta. Huh. Another fluff in chat. Welcome to the stream. Oh, I actually don't know. Oh, wait, what? Huh. Oh, y'all came together. Okay. Hello, Jugo Kaiwi and Fluffy Greta. Welcome to the stream. If movies and TV have taught me anything, it's that cops don't last long in prison. I don't know. I feel like they might get special treatment from guards or something, depending. Cops are like a fraternity. And a lot of prison guards and security personnel are ex-military, are ex-cops, or people who couldn't quite be cops or disgraced cops, so they might have some like common solidarity. Verdict and sentencing. Jury deliberation began on April 19, 2021, following closing arguments. April 20th, the jury announced it had reached a verdict after 10 hours of deliberation. Chauvin was found guilty on all 3 counts. His bail was revoked, and he was remanded into custody by the Halpern County Sheriff's Office, which transferred Chauvin to the Minnesota Department of Corrections. Chauvin was booked into the Oak Park Heights State Prison. Chauvin faces maximum of 4 years in prison, but Minnesota sentencing guidelines suggest a sentence of 12.5 years. The state has indicated that it will request a longer sentencing than the guidelines recommended due to the aggravating factors. The sentencing hearing will take place 8 weeks after the date of the verdict, which would be June 15th, 2021. Mark that shit on your calendars. It's not over. And of course, they're going to request a repeal, I'm sure. Protests and demonstrations. Protests, rallies, and marches have occurred outside of the courthouse, which officials surrounded with a temporary concrete barrier, metal fencing, and barbed wire in anticipation of civil unrest. In early 2021, Minneapolis and Hyphen County officials spent $1 million on fencing and barricades for government buildings and police stations in anticipation of civil unrest during the trial. In February 2021, Governor Walz deployed the Minnesota National Guard for trial security and in the event of civil unrest in response to requests from Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter. On March 7th, 2021, one day ahead of jury selection, several hundred protesters marched in downtown Minneapolis and rallied outside the courthouse to mourn Floyd's death and to call for police reform. On March 8th, about 1,000 protesters gathered peacefully outside the courthouse to call for justice for Floyd and raise broader issues of racial injustice. On March 28th, one day ahead of opening statements, several rallies and protests were held in Minneapolis, including a march in downtown Minneapolis to demand justice for Floyd and rallies at the courthouse and City Hall. Floyd's family and Al Sharpton hosted a vigil on March 28th at the Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in Minneapolis. During the trial, daily visitors from across the United States visited George Floyd Square. On April 6, 2021, Floyd's family held a prayer and press conference outside the courthouse with Sharpton, family attorney Benjamin Crump, and former New York Governor David Patterson. On April 13th, after the killing of Dwayne Wright, members of the Floyd and Wright families held a press conference outside the courthouse of Crump. On April 11th, 2021, what's today, the 22nd? So 10 days ago, Dwayne Demetrius Wright, a 20-year-old African-American man, was fatally shot by police officer Kimberly Ann Porter during a traffic stop, an attempted arrest for an outstanding arrest warrant in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, after a brief struggle with officers. Wright was shot. Never stops. Members of the Floyd and Wright families had a press conference outside the courthouse with Crump. Hey, look. Our president said a thing. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris deliver remarks on the verdict at the White House. I don't even know if I want to hear that. Government officials on March 29th. On March 29th, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that President Joe Biden will be watching the trial closely, could not weigh in while it was ongoing, and was not in touch with Floyd's family ahead of it. U.S. Representatives Cori Bush tweeted on March 29th that Derek Chauvin is on trial and George Floyd is not on trial, adding on March 30th that Chauvin's defense attorney is arguing that George Floyd does not deserve justice. Well, at least they took a stand on that. On April 19th, California Representative Maxine Waters said if Chauvin was not found guilty of murder, members of George Floyd protests gotta stay on the street. We've gotta get more active. We gotta get more confrontational. We've gotta make sure that they know that we mean business. Judge called legislators' failure to refrain from commenting on court cases abhorrent, and said Waters' comments may constitute grounds for the defense to appeal and overturn a potential guilty verdict. I was just like, yeah, they're gonna try to appeal. Of course they are. Boris Johnson. That is a correct response to a Boris Johnson. People who couldn't be cops. What are they, corpses? Oh boy. People who couldn't be cops tend to glorify police stuff, and a lot of them actually end up getting I don't know the YouTube video. If I do post this on YouTube, hopefully I'll at least have this in the description. If I post it on YouTube, I'll post this on YouTube if they let me post it. There's been of course, the people who are like, oh yes, the Punisher would like cops. No, he wouldn't. And it's people who buy decals and stuff, and it was talking about the glorification of demonstrably abusive police behavior that was adopted from people in the military, also adopting Punisher motifs and stuff, and how it kind of was even more concentrating those bad ideas and toxic bigoted thinking and white knight machismo in policing. I lost my train of thought just a little bit, but it's just people who couldn't be cops sometimes do things that give them power trips. They give them authority that would make them like cops, and sometimes they get decals that make their cars look like they would be police cars, or even will buy retired police cars, so they can kind of basically fly at the cops. I'm one of you. Punisher is built. That's based. Punisher is built different. Man could literally 1v God knows how much. Halfway through, I didn't think the sentence was gonna end like that. I was like, yeah, the Punisher would definitely be mad at God and be like, yo, you let this happen. Actual Context did the Punisher video. He's Shui. Oh, okay. Thank you. Nice. While the sequestered jury was deliberating, Biden said he was praying for the right verdict. He also contacted Floyd's family during this time. He remarked, they're a good family, and they're calling for peace and tranquility, no matter what the verdict is. After the verdict, Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris made statements to the press, while Biden calling it a step forward. Harris said justice isn't just a people of color problem, but a problem for every American. They both urged Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which Harris co-authored as senator to reform policing in America. Following the verdict, Republican senators Tim Scott in South Carolina and Mike Braun of Indiana made statements indicating support for the ruling. Scott said that he was thankful for the verdict and that there's no question in his mind that the jury reached the right verdict. And Braun said that he had hoped for a guilty verdict. Democratic Representative Joyce Betty of Ohio, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, spoke in support of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama said that Minneapolis did the right thing. Peace and tranquility through passionate protests? Also, using Wikipedia as the primary source, cringe, JK. Funny thing is, growing up and like having to navigate like scholastic achievement, it's like, oh yeah, I can't use Wikipedia, but basically I'll use Wikipedia because Wikipedia usually has sources. So just use Wikipedia sources and be like, this is the thing. Because it's just like, I mean, I think that there is validity in Wikipedia. I thought even then, but as a kid and as a student, it was just like, I have no say. I can't control that. The standard is you do this thing. Oh, almost like society having a job. Where were we? International. Canadian Prime. Oh shit, I can see the references. We're almost at the bottom. We made it to the credits. We almost made it to the credits. We're almost there. We're almost there. Well, we don't know. There might be an after credit scene. We don't know. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau welcomed the verdict and said that Americans had seen accountability for the murder of George Floyd, but warned about continuing alleged systematic racism in the United States. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that he had been appalled by Floyd's murder and that his thoughts were with Floyd's family. London Mayor Sadiq Khan said that the verdict must be the beginning of real change, not the end. Must be the beginning of real change, not the end, and sympathize with Floyd's family. Although I have to mention, at the top of the article, they did say that the other officers that were applying force to Floyd were not tried in this trial. So you could argue that some justice has been made. If anything, the other officers there are definitely culpable because and it's been shown that they have what's the word? That like, you know, this was excessive force and it was against protocol. They should have recognized that and said stop, not join in. So yeah, more culpability, hopefully. Wikipedia sources, if they are still around, which usually is only true because of Wayback Machine. Ooh, that's like combo. It's like it's using the different resources of the internet to like, I guess, get the information you need. I'm glad Wayback Machine exists. I need to use it more. On April 20th, following the verdict, the Floyd family had a news conference which included members of the Floyd family, the legal team, and others. The family attorney Benjamin Crump issued a statement which read in part, "Painfully earned justice was arrived in George Floyd's family. Painfully earned justice has arrived for George Floyd's family and the community here in Minneapolis. But today's verdict goes far beyond the city and has significant implications for the country and even the world. Justice for Black America is justice for all America. This case is a turning point in American history for accountability of law enforcement and sends a clear message. We hope is heard clearly in every city and every state. And hopefully the American territories too, because imperialism. Floyd had three brothers. At the news conference, Philanese Floyd commented, "A lot of days I prayed and I hoped. I said I have faith that he'll be convicted." He compared his brother's death to that of Emmett Till. That's a hell of a comparison. And now I have to highlight Emmett Till in case, on the off fucking chance that you have never heard his name. Because if you haven't, I am going to change that just now. Because, black people before me were raised on the stories of Emmett Till. And I was too, about just how bad things can be at any moment. And there's still lynchings in America to this day. So, not like lynch mobs aren't a thing still. Emmett Lewis Till was a 14-year-old African-American who was lynched in Mississippi in 1955 after being accused of offending a white woman in her family's grocery store. The brutality of his murder and the fact that his killers were acquitted drew attention to the long history of the violent persecution of African-Americans in America. It's really foundational. You will sometimes hear about it in schools, depending on your school. But, it's definitely ingrained in a lot of black culture. Because what they did to him was so bad. They mangled his body so much. And I won't go into details about what they did. If you want to know that, you can do that on your own time. They had, a closed casket funeral, and his mother cried because she saw his face and she was like, y'all don't need to see that. I didn't need to see that. And it's always told, or it was to me historically told as he was killed for whistling at a white woman. A 14-year-old boy. He compared his brother's death to that of Emmett Till, whose death became an icon of the civil rights movement. Another brother, Terrence Floyd, spoke saying, "I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, they got to see this history made." Reverend Al Sharpton was also in attendance. He spoke saying, "We still have cases to fight, but this gives us the energy to fight on." Gosh, I was so tense. I didn't realize my shoulders were on 10 right now. These are all the references. I want to say Wikipedia is not a good resource. I mean, just like any scholarly thingy thing, there's a lot of footnotes and stuff. Well, I shouldn't say any, but there is a lot of sources and a lot of footnotes. So, to individually prove this article wrong actually takes a lot of work. Literally, a sixth of this is just the fucking sources. I'm just scrolling through to exemplify and actually get to the bottom. And it's yeah, this is the credits. It wouldn't exist without this, right? And all the external links. Gosh, I didn't read this fucker's name even once. Wow. Well, that was a thing. And now I don't want to look at Wikipedia right now at all. That fucking happened. Holy fucking shit. That took 2.5 hours. I didn't look at the thingy once. I didn't look at it fucking once. Holy shit. Sorry, I was probably peeking as hell, but not a diaper peek. I just realized that my mic and stuff was really sensitive. I was probably being way louder than I needed to be. I'm sorry if I hurt your ears. Although I guess in terms of all the things that could have upset someone about the last 2.5 hours of stream, there are other things. The other officers have been detained. Good. Educate bad police. You're welcome. By the way, did you see that the American police alone is an army more expensive and large than the Indian army? I didn't know that, but I mean, like most police departments have kind of the highest funding out of like most infrastructure in like a given city. On top of the fact that like they literally get military grade weapons. It's kind of like they get the hand-me-downs in the military when it's like, ooh, we got the new weapons technology. Here's our like, it's basically like the big brother giving the little brother like their high school jersey when they go to college. It's disgusting. You hate to see it. There's no one good resource. I agree. And I guess I didn't mean to necessarily imply that. Because, you know, there is... As I feel like, especially with something like this, with all the different links that you get through the Wikipedia, I mean, obviously, it's spanning your research, but like, that was literally over 100 sources, so I'm just like, to even comb through all those would, like, I feel like is more than enough information to, like, at least confirm sources. If, like, you want to write something up about George Floyd and the whole case, like, that might not be all you need to look at, but I think it's a sizable amount. And I guess with something so historic, it's kind of like, well, of course, people put a lot of hard work into compiling that, and I thank the people who worked on the Wikipedia article for doing so, because holy crap, I learned so much. And gosh, it's weird thinking about like when I used to read manga and it was like, yes, I'm reading about the stuff that they're using in the margins. And I remember my fucking bastard cop parent was like, oh yeah, I'll buy you more manga because it teaches you shit. And it would be like random stuff. Like I always remember, it was like, oh yeah, I learned what chaff is. It's like foil that that's put in the air by the military to block communications. It's like jamming. And it's just like, wow. And reading through the article, and it's like, oh yeah, and this part of how he died. And it's just like, cut away. This is what a pulmonary this is what like a what was it? Oh, this is what a blood choke is. And that actually sounds like something right out of something very edgy. Yes, he used blood choke, and it was super effective. Fucking monster. And it's just like, yes. If only bastard cop parent could see me now.